you've played Siege before, then you've probably encountered a moment where the game's audio pulled a demonic prank on you that left you crying for deliverance. And you wouldn't be the first person for this to happen to, as many avid Siege players have gripes with the engine's audio system, even after they made sound more directional when Siege X released. I'm willing to bet that if you clicked on this video, then you probably don't want to deal with BS related footsteps or weird volume ever again. And while Siege's audio is mostly untamable, I'm here to show you how you can improve it in-game and with easy to use software that'll have you not missing a note ever again. So, why do you actually want good sound in R6? For the most part, it boils down to one of the most important advantages you can get in winning Siege, which is information. The more you hear, the more you can know, and the better you can discern what you're hearing, the better you can play. If you're experienced, then you know that one footstep, one shuffle can shift the fight in your favor. Now, before we get into some extremely useful things you can implement on your PC, not including wall hacks, first, let's go over what you can do in-game to optimize your sound. So the first setting we're going to be taking a look at today is the dynamic range. And pretty much it boils down to if you think that hearing footsteps is hard for you. If sometimes footsteps can get muddied into other audio like gunshots and explosions, then I would highly recommend that you go on the low setting here. And basically what dynamic range does is it makes sounds like gunshots and explosions quieter at their peak volumes, so that way quieter sounds or sounds lower in the sound range can come through more clearly. Staying on low dynamic range will allow you to hear the lower frequency sounds easier because the higher frequency sounds are being limited in their volume. And then lastly, as far as the sound settings go, we have the tinnitus sound effects. This mostly is up to personal preference, but I do think that muted is better because you're just getting less noise and stim while you're trying to play the game. I find that certain sounds like the music and also the voiceover volume can be distracting and kind of unnecessary, so I just turn them off. And that's pretty much the same theory here with the tinnitus sound effects. Real quick, I want to talk about wireless versus wired headphones. If you didn't know, wired headphones have a slightly larger sound range compared to wireless headphones because the compression from the Bluetooth causes less information to be able to be played back in the case of wireless headphones. So technically, if you want the best sound, you should be using wired earbuds or headphones, which in theory means better hearing of footsteps. Now that the few in-game settings we have for sound have been optimized pretty well, let's get into what made sound in Siege way better for me, which is actually outside of the game. For me, one of the best things and most helpful things I've done for my sound in Siege is getting something called an equalizer. Equalizer is just boosting the certain frequencies that you want to prioritize over others. So if you are interested in using an equalizer, then I highly recommend you go and use FX Sound. And there's a couple other Siege YouTubers who have showed off this equalizer, and I believe that it's one of the more easy ones to understand in terms of its design and whatnot. So once you do that, and as you can see here, there's a few things you want to set up in here before we get into actually setting the EQ profile. Right after you download FX Sound, you're going to want to make sure that in your audio devices that it's set to the active output. And once you have that, now I'm going to show you how to actually set the proper EQ profile to get those crispy footstep sounds. And I want to give credit where it's due. The way I found out how to set up the EQ profile was from a fellow Siege YouTuber known as Thunda Shelly. Please go check out this video if you're interested in that. So as you can see, we're really focusing on boosting the lower frequencies and turning down these mid to high frequencies. This is really gonna allow us to hear the footsteps more rather than, you know, the more obvious and louder sounds like the gunshots, explosions. But once you do that, you want to make sure that you come up here and make sure you set save new preset. I already have it saved, but type in a name for your preset and then press enter and make sure it's saved. And once you do that, finally, you want to make sure that in your FX Sound settings that your preferred output is set to your main device, so that way it's actually going through the headphones that you're using. All right, and then lastly, once you have your EQ profile set up and you have it saved, you're going to want to open Siege and go into your sound settings and make sure that your output device is set to FX Sound speakers, just to ensure that the Siege audio is being processed by the EQ. And now one more tip I want to cover is making sure that you have spatial audio turned off. So how you do this is you right click on your speaker down here and you go to sound settings, and then once you're in here, you want to expand expand the device that you're currently using. And then right here, there's a little drop-down menu for Windows Spatial Sound. And the reason why you want this off is because the engine, so to speak, that the Windows Spatial Sound is using is going to conflict with Siege's audio engine. Congrats, PICKLER. You've done pretty much everything you can do to improve your sound in Siege, which, as you can see, isn't a whole lot. I'd like to encourage you to experiment with your sound settings before settling on a config, as that's how I found my preferred setup. And remember, the only way to get better at Siege is to experiment and have fun while you're doing it. Hope you got something out of this video for playing better or just for enjoyment. And overall, thanks for watching, thanks for staying, and thanks for playing. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace, Picklers.
Really big f***ing pickle. Coming right up! Like and subscribe.